Welcome. It's Wakey time. And it is not the end of the world. Because it's not. So, I'm a little calmed down. I feel pretty good compared to the last video. Well, you get what you get, what I get, when I get it. And it is not. Despite what all these people are trying to tell you, it is not the end of the world. I have some keywords, my track list, just to keep me on track. But this is something that I know a lot about. I've been studying this for more than 30 years, since I was a teenager. And there was a time in the late 90s where I really thought it was the end of the world. You know, checking the time. I really thought it was the end of the world for a while, and you know, you could say I wasted time, but I had a lot of fun. I ran my own business, and I spent all the money I made on bowling and alcohol. And but I basically didn't do anything creative. I stopped doing creative stuff for like 2 years because I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? There's no future. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. It might not be the future you want, but you have a part in that. You either just let stuff happen around you, or you take a part in the reality creation and change this earth for the better. And we're going to talk about that. But eventually, I had a realization, and I had a breakdown, and I got into meditation, all in the same few hours. And I talked about that story in It's Wakey Time too. I'm not sure how much I covered it, but we don't need to repeat stories. I'm just mentioning it because it's significant. Because I realized I didn't do anything for 2 years. I didn't do anything of my God-given talents for 2 years. And I don't get that back. So the more you keep thinking, oh, it's the end of the world, there's time to rest and have fun and do whatever, but if you think you're running out of time, you could be wrong. It's not the end of the world. One thing that sparked this video, I'm sure I wanted to make a video like this along the way, the whole time at some point, but I don't get these videos a lot in the social media I go on. Sometimes I do, but my wife's getting a lot of stuff that she's learning about that I had picked up a few years ago. Everyone's on their different curve, there's nothing wrong with any of it. And that's a whole nother story, what I was going through, but we were chilling on the couch the other day, probably like a morning coffee, look at our phones, play with the dogs. But I can hear what video she's watching, and this video is talking about Israel's building the third temple, and they're going to kill 5 red heifers, and I'm just like, and eventually I went to work. Not that day, but like at some point after that, I was like, I gotta make a video. Because this is not what people are saying it is. So let's start with that. The third temple, the rebuilding of the temple. These stories about the tabernacle and the first temple and the second temple and the temples being destroyed, it's called symbolism. They're talking about your temple, your brain, your consciousness, your mind. All these stories there's no temple. They might be physically building one, and maybe they really believe it literally. Or there could be a conspiracy. If they really believe it literally, we need to spread the message of what the truth is. And if they know the truth, then we need to spread the truth, because they're fooling all of you. I mean, not all of you, but whoever this resonates with or doesn't resonate, whoever this triggers, they're fooling you. The third temple. The reason there's 3 temples in the whole book, the whole story, is because you have, the cutout of the Great Pyramid. You have the passageway going down. You have the passageway going into the Queen's chamber, and you have the passageway going back up to the King's chamber. Those are the 3 temples. Those are the 3 ventricles in the brain. With the King's chamber being the fornix, the third temple, which is where the end of the medication, maybe, the end of the meditation renews your mind and turns into the new earth after they build the third temple. Israel, the yew tree, the Jews rebuilding the third temple. It's about meditation. Why are there 5 red heifers? We talked about the 1 out of 10 red heifers before in a different video. You kill the 1/10, the 10th heifer, and to sanctify the temple, because the left hemisphere of your brain, all of your waking consciousness, your whole life experience, 10% is the 1/10 heifer, the 1 out of 10, the 10% that must be sacrificed, because you go to no thought when you enter into the right hemisphere of the brain in meditation. And we talked about that. And we'll keep talking about that. So why 5 red heifers this time? Because you have 5 senses. Red symbolizes the emotions. You're destroying the emotions in the 5 senses to rebuild the third temple. That's how it works. It's science. That's the instructions. It's part of the instructions. You can't change that. That's why it's in the book. It has nothing to do with physically killing cows and rebuilding a stone temple. Jesus said every stone will be thrown down to the ground. Paul said the Old Testament, the stories of Abraham, were allegory. I can't believe I have to repeat this. I mean, Bill Donahue should be enough. Go watch all the William Donahue videos on YouTube. Please. But while we're here, I just explained the 5 red heifers in the third temple. Now, there might be people on the other side of the planet or whatever it is physically doing this stuff. And they may know, they may not know. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And if they know, then there's a conspiracy. I mean, why do you think they used to torture people to death if you didn't believe or follow their version of this? This is their literal version of this. You don't think that's going to put a karmic schism, some sort of a trauma that's going to be reincarnated with you to where you're just going to literally believe that these stories are literal. And they're not. It is not the end of the world. Let's start with something tangible. Earthquakes and volcanoes. Yeah. So what's happened is we've entered in to the age of Aquarius after more than 2,000 years of Pisces. Before that, it would have been Aries and then Taurus. So it goes backwards. So there's Taurus, Aries, the bull, the ram, Pisces, Aquarius. It's going backwards. Pretty sure that's right. I'm not an astrology guy. I mean, I know it, but I don't. Anyway. So we're in the precession of the equinoxes, Aquarius, the big one. What were we talking about? Earthquakes and volcanoes. So, what happens is, in all the mythologies of ancient times, but also really happening right now, Uranus spins the opposite direction of all the other planets, and it's going crazy. Uranus has come back to reclaim its bride that was taken away from him, Gaia, which is the Earth. And it's going to cause a lot of natural disasters. Will it be as bad as 12,000 years ago or whenever that was? I have no idea. But it's not the end of the world. But you're going to have these disasters. You know, I keep seeing these videos about the Euphrates drying up. And they're recording noises from underneath the earth. Maybe there's stuff down there. I don't know. There's underground bases all over the world, and there's aliens and shit that nobody's telling us about. So I don't know about that. But the Euphrates River, those stories did not take place in that area. So that is not the Euphrates River that's drying up. And the reason it's drying up is because people farther north are damming it so they can have water. But people are like, oh, it's part of the prophecy. That's not what the stories are about. So you're going to have earthquakes and volcanoes. There's going to be natural disasters. We are at a halfway point through the precession of the equinox, and this is Aquarius. Uranus and Pluto are fucking some shit up. As they should. But it's also the 1,000-year reign. Now, I know you have your Tartarians and the it already happened theory. And you have the people that are like, where are we at in Revelations? Let's figure it out. No. It has to do with astrology. So let's back it up a second. Beginning of the book. The Bible. Genesis 1:14. God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. In my Lord's house there are many mansions. They're talking about the sun's movement through the zodiac, which is what the whole book is about. But we also have the sun within us, our soul, our spirit, our photon. And just as creation is the same out there, it's the same in here. We might even project it from our consciousness. This is the universe. This is the earth. We are in tune with that, or you can get in tune with that. But when you're not in tune with that, you feel natural disasters. And there's a lot of people here that are not in tune. And that's why there's natural disasters. That's why the earth is upset. And her husband, Uranus, coming back to reclaim her, is very upset. I would be very upset if something was happening to my bride. And it's called mythology and symbolism. And Uranus, which is the Greek word for heaven in the New Testament, and father. So Jesus is talking about Uranus, the kingdom of Uranus, the 1,000-year reign. Because for 1,000 years, starting 30 years ago or so, or whenever, Uranus reigns for 1,000 years until Saturn or Satan is loosened for a little season and rules for his 1,000 years, because it's talking about astrology and astronomy. Most of us do not have to worry about Saturn's rule. That's a long time from now. Enjoy the time you have now. But you don't have to worry about that. But why the earth is in upheaval is because we're at that halfway point in the precession of the equinox. Get me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it's Aquarius. This is the end and the new beginning. Even if you take the stories literally, like a Revelations, I'm just taking the time. Revelations literally. Read the last paragraphs. There's a new earth, everyone's resurrected. Like, what are you worried about? What are you freaking out about? What it is your attachment. Your attachment to the way you've been living. Maybe the way your parents lived and your grandparents, the way you've been living. Imagine the people in the horse and buggy and some guy comes by on a California Speedster car. He'd be feeling the same thing. He'd be like, this is it. It's fucking over. You know? My family lived this way for 2 generations, and now here comes this guy in his fucking hot rod. No. Times change. The times they are a-changing. It was not just in the 1960s. It's just relevant because our parents lived through it. Or your grandparents lived through it. You have to think of things relatively. I mean, you don't have to do anything. I'm just helping, people that want any help at all. So the same with all of that is the same with now we've entered into Aquarius, which is a zodiac sign. How do I know we're in the Excuse me. How do I know we're in the 1,000-year reign other than what I just told you? Because the second coming came in 1995. Now, we talked about what the book is about. So when it gets to the Jesus stories, what's he going to talk about? He's going to talk about astrology, the apocalypse. That's why he delivers the revelation. Apocalypse means awakening. Okay? It is not the end of the world. So when is the awakening? Well, Luke 22. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. We talked about that earlier in the video. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. Now, I mentioned earlier that the book is about the sun and its movements, the sun, the moon, and the stars and their movements. And if you don't believe me, if this is new to you, go look up all the meanings of every name, of every star and constellation. And then go look up the meanings of all the names of every person and place mentioned in the Bible. And they're the same. And it follows the same story. Because the stories in the Bible are the story that was written in the stars before it was ever put on paper, before it was ever passed down orally for a long time. So when you read these stories, you need to understand what they're talking about. I mean, you don't need to. You can keep going on the way you are. But this is the time. This is the apocalypse. This is the awakening. We are in Aquarius. That's what this story is talking about. Luke 22. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. Passover. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, Sagittarius into Pisces. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, which means 2 cities, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains how he might betray him unto them. And they were glad and covenanted to give him money. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter to John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And they said unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare? And he said unto them, Jesus, Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in. Aquarius, the man with the pitcher of water. And like William Donahue always said, men did not carry pitchers of water 2,000 years ago. You shall say unto the good man of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall show you a large upper room, furnished, there make ready, because you do not need to bring anything with you. You cannot bring anything with you. You go to no thought, and you go to the entrance to the subconscious, the entrance to the kingdom of heaven. the upper room, the large upper room, furnished, the guest chamber. There make ready. So when Aquarius comes, meditate, seek first, do the instructions. I'm serious because I'm serious. I'm not trying to do anything here. This is not a joke. I'm trying to radiate as much love as I possibly can while I'm talking to you. So in 1995, just like it talks about in Revelations about the second coming, he will come on a white horse. That white horse is Pegasus. Which is the hippocampus in the brain. So when you do the meditation, the revelations within you, he comes on a pale horse. We talked about that in another video about Amon's horn, God's power. Amon, Amen. Thus saith the Amen, Jesus Christ. Amon's horn is the name of a notch in the hippocampus. Another name for notch is hem. There's a piece of fibers that connect the two pieces of the hippocampus, the front part of the fornix, I think it's the front, called the garment. The hem of the garment. So Pegasus is the hippocampus, the white horse. But it's also a constellation in the sky. Pegasus is not a full horse. It's half mermaid, or merman, or whatever. It's half fish. Hippocampus means horse sea monster, because it's talking about Pegasus. So when Jesus comes back on the white horse, it's talking about Pegasus. He's riding Pegasus. Well, in 1995, since Jesus represents the sun star within you and the sun in the sky, in 1995, scientists discovered a star that was like our own. A second coming. Right on the bridle of Pegasus, the constellation in the sky. Now the Bible talks about thousands of white horses, pale horses behind him, following him. When they zoomed in, what did they see? Thousands of the same types of pale stars, and they're all heading this way. The scientists could not have discovered them until the light got here. Now, if you translate this all to just consciousness, because there's people out there like, nothing's out there, it's all within us, whatever. As above, so below. That's the awakening part. When they zoomed in on those thousands of stars that were following the star on the bridle of Pegasus. That's where you get that picture of all the different galaxies. Just a lot of different galaxies. That is in the constellation of Coma, which is the woman holding the child. Because the child is born. The child is born within you. child is born in Aquarius, which is John the Baptist, baptizing the newborn child within him as a man during this time. I feel like I've given you enough information there that you can connect what I'm talking about. And there's a lot more. There's always more. There's so much more. But and there's more to the literal part of this. The second coming was in 1995. And it's continuing to this day. You missed it. Unless you didn't. But they're still talking about the return of the Messiah. And those stories are about you returning. Messiah means anointing. Because the Mesa, the crocodiles, they use their fat for anointing oil. And all of that is symbolic and metaphorical too. They're talking about the chrism, the anointing of the third eye. This is the time of the awakening. Aquarius. For signs and for seasons. And Revelations is what John went through his meditation so that he could instruct you on what you'd go through and experience. The old earth is destroyed. The new earth, the renewed child, the renewed mind. New Jerusalem. I am Israel. Like Jacob. Jacob is the son also. These stories just keep going through a lineage of SUNs. Jacob had 13 children. They used 2 children, Simeon and Levi, for Gemini, because it's the twins. Dinah is Virgo, because it was a woman. Now, these got changed in later times because they couldn't have a woman be part of it. But, like when it gets to the 12 disciples, Thomas is Gemini because Thomas is Didymus in Greek and it means the twin or twins. So Jacob has 13 children because 2 of the boys are Gemini. And you have the 12. Jacob is the son, the father that fathers all these signs. With its solar energy. Left brain, masculine, solar energy. It's called symbolism. So when it gets to Joseph, Jacob's son, he's the new son, the new SUN within you. Jacob's story actually starts off within you and then becomes the son. Just think about that, all right? That you can lurch on, whatever it is on your own. But all these stories are like this, all through the genealogy. Son to son, SUN to SUN, SON to SON. So Joseph becomes the son within you. Which is why he wears a coat of many colors, which are the colors of your aura through the different colors of the spectrum of the chakras. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It could be violet, indigo. I don't know. I just know that whatever the color of the pineal gland is, the meaning of the word of the color means iodine, or it's related to iodine. And the more iodine you get, like from iodized salt, it will help your pineal gland. Just throwing that out there. And if you don't think at this point that there's astrology involved in this book, which is why they didn't want you to learn astrology. Job 38:31. Job 38:31. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth, which is the zodiac, in his season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons, S-O-N-S? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Just telling you right there. Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? The dominion of the signs and the seasons. And if you do not do the instructions and you do not do the meditation, you cannot align with the dominion of the 12 signs and the sun, their dominion over you, which is why you're living through a life where you're like, why is all this happening? You can control it. You align yourself with that and understand what's happening in the now. And then what do I want to do? How do I want to feel? How do I want to create my own reality? This is why we have these stories. It is not the end of the world, unless you believe it and you let them implement this. The problem is people with some power either believe this or they are fucking evil. Both of these are all the more reason to understand all of this. However, you have people that can visit the future. They can see some things. And it is not the end of the world. And even if it was, what happens right after the end? A new beginning, because it's cyclical. Now, you might have a problem with, we talked about this, like whatever you think your culture is dying or whatever, things change, But the prophecy is about you. The word prophet just means to speak for God. God sends you a message, you tell people. It's not about destiny. Meanings were changed of words over time. An apocalypse means awakening. We've talked about that. The end of the old earth and the new. And we talked about the 10th red heifer, the 10% to sanctify the temple and the Passover, the Messiah. What I want to know is, most of these videos, on all the different social media, all the formats, most of these videos, most of these channels, even the ones giving love and light and that claim to be with this awakening, there's a huge, and I mean a huge 99.99% lack of faces. Who are you? I'm making a half hour to hour show, whatever, as much as I can. This is, you see me like I'm a real person telling you this stuff. Why are they hiding? Almost everything I open is not a real person. Now there's a lot out there. And there's some voiceovers. But most of what I see is just words and music and no profile picture. And what are you hiding from? What's going on? You don't want your family to know? You don't want your friends to know that you know? Or are these even real channels? I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, why? Why are you hiding? The other thing about that is, the end of the world videos, the literal, oh, this is happening and that's happening and it fits with this part of the story. I hate to be the messenger, but you might be getting views and maybe that's your purpose, I don't know. But your videos are moot. And they're fear-mongering. I mean, it's not the thing. Hang on a second. I noticed I didn't plug my phone in. All right, so you're making videos about the end of the world. They're literal. But the story, that's not what the stories are talking about. Please stop. I keep hearing this word pop up lately in my life. Cringe. If there's anything I cringe at, it's these literal end of the world videos. Like, yes, I know these people are acting out this stage play that maybe they believe in or they don't. Stop spreading it like it's some real thing that's happening. I'm not saying they're not killing a cow and raising stones for a third temple, but it's a stage play. Whether they know it or not, that's not what the stories are about. I hate to say it this way, but they look as stupid as you do to people who understand. And if it affects you in any way, it's from fear. It's fear-based. They're building a third temple. That means some crazy shit's about to happen. Not really. Not unless they make it happen, because they have all the power. They don't, though. They do not have all the power. if we as a people change our vibration and do what the instructions said, do what the instructors said, at the time period he said to do it. He gave it to the 12. He said, go teach this to everyone else. And now we are everyone else here. Are we going to do the things that we're told to do? And I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about it if I didn't follow the instructions and do the things. Does it get crazy? Yeah. It's fucking insane. I love it. But it is so much better. So much better flowing with the river than clutching onto roots and riverbank mud and hanging on for dear life because you think it's the end of the world. You know, I'm over here. Like, fucking, please stop. You know, I'll keep doing more videos like, Glenn Beck. I've been listening to the Glenn Beck show since 2006. And Glenn, I love you. I really do. And it's been fun, and I will keep listening. But when you bring up the literal religion, I cringe. It makes me want to get the duct tape out and wrap it around my eyes because of the bleeding, and my eyes might blast out of my head. I wish I could help people understand. And if those people that are literally acting out these plays in Israel, if they truly do not know the truth, please, for the love of God, for the new earth, for everyone who does not need to suffer and die, I pray that you awaken to the information the way that I have and so many others have. Solomon. King Solomon had 12 officers. 1 Kings 7. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel. Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. In East Asian Buddhism, the 12 heavenly generals around their sun god. The 12 divine generals, the protective deities, the Yaksha of Vaisajaya Guru, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Oh shit, there's a longer one. The Buddha of healing. The body of healing. The body, all of it, of healing. I get that you're scared. It might be the end of your attachments. It might be the end of your, what you've imagined a world that you grew up in, thinking that this is the world, this is how it's supposed to be. I did too. I did too. You know. That's why I want to do Hammer Time, where I take AFA graded collectible toys like Star Wars toys, sealed Star Wars toys, and break them open with a hammer. Break those plexiglass cases open with a hammer, and open the toys, and we'll play with them on video. Hammer Time. Like, that's my dream. Yeah, I want to help my wife and my family and everybody that I care about, but that's my dream. Hammer Time. I want to open the toys. You know, fuck your price hikes. They're worth more than that anyway. You need to deal with your attachment. It can only take a few minutes. You've imagined that your kids and your grandkids have to grow up in the world you grew up in, and they don't. It's their time. But we can make it a better place. With everything I'm talking about. You can literally bring in the new earth. And it's going to happen anyway. I don't even know why I'm making these videos. Like, it's going... You want to talk about prophecy? That is the prophecy. The dominion. You cannot stop the dominion of creation. It's already happened. And we're living in it. So you might as well enjoy it. And if you're having struggles enjoying it, do the inner work. It's worth it. Do some for a year and a half. I've been doing Kung Fu again. I did it when I was 19. My legs are fucking sore. But if I keep doing it, what are the results going to be? Well, I'll show you, but what are you going to do? You're going to do another year and a half, 2 years of the same? Or just take a little bit of time each day. Do the instructions. I think I handled that pretty well. You know, compared to thoughts earlier in the day about specific keywords. It's been so hot, I haven't been able to come out in the garage and do much. Except yell at you for a half hour. But I can see the camera's still rolling. It's not as hot. And I've been really wanting to do this video. And I'm really grateful. I'm really glad I was able to do this video. It feels like it came out well. I gave more information than I planned on. I've covered all my keywords. And I don't, mind telling you about it. It's like on scene, behind the scenes. I mean, this ain't no fucking movie. I'm just sitting here talking to you. But all of you, it is not the end of the world. And if there's any part you want to change, you need to go within yourself, enter the house of the man with the pitcher of water. And together, we can change things. And if it's all predestined, I mean, what are we going to do anyway? You're going to waste, I didn't waste it, but you're going to waste some years, like, being scared? There's nothing to be scared of. You're an eternal, conscious being in a body dealing with this. In fact, the second you're whisked out of that, you might be right back into another reality, a physical reality. You could even be working the same job. Unless you learn to master it all. And that's what the journey is all about. That's why I'm here. And no, we're not going to have a master class, and I'm not going to send you emails and text messages. This is what we do. I do some videos. You will get what you get, what I get, when I get it. The forgets. All right, this is its wakey time. It is not the end of the world. Because it's not. And I love you. And I want you to take care of yourselves, everyone around you. Say hi to people. A nice old man told me that today. Keep saying hi to people. Hi, how are you? Even if they come back with some bullshit, just be like, yeah, I know how that is. Just fucking relate. They're your people. All right. I don't want to yell. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good morning. If you fucking made it this far, I'll like send you free shit. Like for real. Like I didn't mean to. Oh, I did this. If you made it this far in the video, get a hold of me somehow. I mean, you don't have to prove it because this is the only time you'd know. Get a hold of me somehow. I will send you free shit. All right? I don't know what. Just, it'll be good. All right, take care. I love you. It's wakey time.